Hello friends, I am Saket, back again with the lesson number 2. Today we are talking about organization influences and project life cycle. So when we talk about organization influences, project. So we are talking about project and studying about project in our PMP exam. So this project does not happen in isolation. The project is happening inside an enterprise. There is an organization which is getting this project executed. So we have enterprise. And this enterprise is further working inside an external environment. A government, regulation, country, geopolitical. So there is an environment. And when you are working in a project, you do get influenced by this environment. And in this particular lesson, we will talk about the enterprise level influences, the organization level influences which you have on your project, and then we will also talk about project life cycle. So this particular lesson consists of 4 videos, and in a video number 1, we will talk about the enterprise structure. So let us look at what is our enterprise looks like. So the project is getting executed inside an organization and we have people. These people have some shared values. They have an attitude towards risk. They have some skills. They work with some style. The organization also has a reward system. They pay for maybe for overtime, or they may pay performance on the basis of some defined criteria. So they have a reward system. The organization also has a rule for working hours. They may work from 9 to 5, or they may work from 10 to 8 p.m. They may keep a holidays during weekends or Saturday, Sundays. They may have 6 days a week. Now all this influence your project. Now the value part, the people part, there are few things which are at very soft in nature, which cannot be defined or felt very clearly, and there are few things which are hard in nature. So the values, you may have defined rule books talking about doing things in a particular way. You have a process and procedures, but you may have some untold rules which are just understood. The people may have a desired way of communicating with each other. They may believe in too much formal communication, and there may be a case where people don't follow the formal communication mechanism and they talk to each other informally. Now, these things you may find a very structured definition of organizational structure as per the organization's goal and direction. But in practice, the real influence supersedes the defined organization structure. It never looked like a hierarchical which is presented in a book, rule books. So it may have an influence which goes beyond this particular rule book. Now in this influences, we have one thing which is well defined, that is organization structure. So let's talk about organization structure at length. In PMP, we find some organization structures like functional organization, matrix organizations, and projectized organization. But in practice, the organization structure is a very complex subject. Organizations spend good amount of time and they experiment with various structure before they find a right structure for them, because it is driven by the control you need in the organization. Do you need a centralized organization, or you want to give a distributed control, or do you want to follow a geographical based structure or a domain based structure? For example, a particular portfolio, BFSI, banking and finance, need to be governed by a particular head. Now, so you will find various complex organization structure in your day-to-day life and when you are executing project. But for PMP exam point of view, we talk about 4 basic type of organization structures, and they are functional organizations, matrix organizations. Matrix organizations are further classified under 3: weak, balanced, and strong, and a projectized organization. So whenever somebody talk about organization structure, you think of an hierarchical chart where the things are defined in a form of boxes. Yes, so we are talking about first a functional type of organization structure. So why should you worry about all this? Because your project management role as a project manager, your role and expectation from you will change as the organization structure is changing. So functional organization structure works well when you have very stable business environment, or the companies who are dealing in either in operational work like service industry or manufacturing industry. So those kind of organization will usually follow the functional organization structure because their efficiency is more towards controlling their functional excellence. For example, a manufacturing company may have functions like manufacturing, sales, design, finance, HR, etc., etc. So they may have a functions, and all these functions are controlled by CEO. Now, if you want to have a project in such kind of organization, for example, CEO wants that we should have some quality certificate, or we should have some improvement in our brand, and for that I want to collect information from my various employees. So he charters a project, and if you are a person who is coordinating or expediting this particular thing, your work will be more concentrated on coordinating with functional heads. The team members who are assigned to this particular project would be reporting to functional manager only. So the functional manager will get the work done from those individuals, and your responsibility would be more towards coordinating and identifying and facilitating the information extraction so that other stakeholders get updated about what is going on in that particular project. Now, in general, this role is done by either a project expediter or a project coordinator, not a project manager, because the expectation from this particular role is not directing and controlling people or resources or project, but rather more focused towards compiling the communicating information. So if you are working in this kind of environment, your time would be going into more and more compiling information and influencing the functional managers on the basis of the information you present to the board. Now, the second type of organizations is a weak matrix. Now, think of a case that from a functional organization, you want to move to a structure where you want to give some power to this coordinator so that this guy also identify the task which these people should execute in order to get the project done. So the hierarchy remains more or less same, or exactly same like a functional organization, but rather than coordinating at a functional head level, this project coordination happens at a team level. So the project coordinator who is doing this particular work starts interacting with team members. So when I say starts interacting, does it mean that he starts asking what you are doing? Yeah, we can treat it like that way, but before he asks what you are doing, you also need to identify what they should be doing. So now his roles moves further upwards, and he starts thinking of identifying work breakdown structures and allocating tasks so that these guys can work on them and they can deliver the project. So his role becomes his role gets enhanced by a bit, because now he is also taking some responsibility of identifying and allocating tasks to the people who are inside the project. But still, the reporting responsibility, the functional manager is responsible for giving the clear priority to the person who are working under him. the functional manager is still responsible for getting the right direction for the given project. So the power and responsibility remain with functional heads. Third type of organization. So now we have three variants of matrices: weak matrix, and then we have a balance matrix. Now, as the balance matrix name specify that here the power get balanced between a project manager and functional manager. And when he says power get balanced, yeah, responsibility also get balanced. It's not like that you are powerful but not responsible. Now the project manager has to take more responsibility for the outcome of the projects. In functional and weak matrix organizations, usually the project coordinator or an expediter does not have a responsibility of making that project successful. He is more and more responsible for compiling information and exposing issues. But as we move towards balanced organization, the delivery responsibility moves towards the project. So in a balanced organization, the responsibility of delivery is to the project manager as well as to the functional head. Now the organization structure looks like you still have a CEO, and then you have similar functional groups as you used to have before, say functional group 1, functional group 2, but you also have a designation called project manager. Now this project manager reports to a particular functional group. For example, you will find these kind of organization structure in many IT companies, where a lot of time a development function leads the project. So you have a project manager who are part of the design and development functions, but they do have functions like quality control or support, which are independent and they directly reports to the CEO. But the project manager falls under the group of development functions. Now the people who are in a function of quality control and support, they get assigned to the project, and project manager has a complete responsibility of telling them what to do in respect to the project. And the functional head has a responsibility of telling them how to do things. So even if in a balanced organization, if the quality control performing the quality control activities well as per defined in their process, the functional guy will take control of it. He makes sure that the practices are getting implemented in a given project. But if the sequence of those activities is not defined well, if the dependencies are not managed well, the project manager is on responsibility. So how to do the things is responsibility of a functional head, and the coordination and interdependency management work goes to the project manager, and the power as well as responsibility of delivering the project is divided between functional head and project manager. Strong matrix. Now the strong matrix is a further empowerment of project manager from a balanced matrix. Now rather than keeping a project manager under a functional group, in a strong matrix we create an independent project management group. There could be a director of projects, there could be a PMO group, or some group, an independent entity which is managing all project managers. So project manager is no more is coming from development, QC or QA, and then you do have a functional group which were there in our balance matrix, and in each functional group you have member attached to it. But for project, the project manager has a complete responsibility of allocating the work to the members who may belong to the different functional group. So the project manager has a complete responsibility of project delivery. Now in this type of organization, the functional head becomes more or less like a consultant. They talk about technical excellence, they provide structures, frameworks to the teams as per their technical excellence or their expertise, so that things can be done well. But they do not influence how things should be done in a given project. They provide more like a guideline or a mechanism or a best practices to the team so that things can be delivered fast. But project manager has to take a final call related to all project decisions. So the power to the project manager is more here, as well as the responsibility. Here the functional head has only a consultancy responsibility, but project manager has a complete responsibility. Now the fifth structure, which is a projectized organization. So in this particular organization, project manager comes in a hierarchy, and he has his team directly 100% reporting to him. So in a big organization, we have a project organization where everything happens as per project manager's expectation. So if he needs a functional excellence, that functional excellence is part of its team. He is no more coordinating with the QC head, he is no more coordinating, or there is no more a functional excellence group which is giving guideline and consultancy that this should be done in this way. Here he is ultimate accountable, and whatever needed in this particular project is inside his project organization. So strong organizations are projectized organizations are more seen in an environment, in an enterprise where their main business is project delivery. For example, like if I construct roads and that is my main business, and one road construction is a one project, you may find a projectized organization in this case, because if I am a head of that particular project, I will make sure that everything related to that project happens under my purview, under my control, so that I can deliver the things faster and on time. So the companies which are more and more focused towards project delivery follows projectized organization. The companies which are more and more focused towards service or a manufacturing or a stable environment kind of delivery follow functional or a weak matrix type of organizations. Now sometimes you may find a composition of these organizations. So there's another structure which is called composite structure, which is nothing but a plug and play of some of these components. For example, you are a manufacturing company, you are a functional company, but you want to manufacture a new plant, and making a plant is a big effort work, and you want to designate a project manager and a team for that particular activity. And this team, this project manager will have good authority and accountability to make that plant successful. So the complete organization is functional, but at this unit, this assignment has been created in a strong matrix or in a projectized form. And this called a composite matrix, where you have a composition or a mixture of 2-3 kind of structures in a given organization. And this you will find whenever manufacturing company gets into a critical project, they may adapt this particular approach and create an organization which is of a composite in nature. Now, why we are talking all about it? Because as a project manager, you should have skill, understanding to understand the organizations and identify your role, how your role varies from on the basis of the organization structure.